Welcome to the High Value Sales Show of Eversprint.com. I'm Malcolm Louie, the managing member of Eversprint, and today we're speaking with Harvinder Singh, the president and CEO of Bestica, a Department of Defense contracting company. Welcome to the call, Harvinder.
My pleasure.
Harvinder, you grew your company's revenue from $2.5 million in 2014 to $8.5 million in 2017, a 237% increase, and in 2018, you hit around 16 million in revenue. Before we talk about how you grew your company so fast, can you briefly share what your company does beyond my quick intro and how your company differs from the competition?
So we are in two business areas. One business area for us is Department of Defense contracting. And what we do in the contracting area is we work on the IT and healthcare side with Army, Air Force, and Navy and execute the projects for them. Then we also have another area in information technology staffing for Fortune 500 companies. So we do IT staffing in general, but we specialize in user experience design and usability in that area. The difference that we bring to the table in the staffing area is having the niche of understanding the requirements. Most of our recruiters are technical, so we understand user experience, but we also understand information technology. I myself was a technical person in the past. And the difference that we bring to the government is to have the patience to work with them in terms of the closing of the business, but then also having the agility to execute things very, very quickly, understanding the environment we have, where we have also brought in people from Army, Air Force, and Navy to help all those different environments and work in those environments extremely quickly. So these are a couple of differences we bring to the business.
Can you share what the three biggest drivers were of your sales growth over the past 4 years? You had grown your business quite handily from 2.5 million in 2014 to about 16 million in 2018.
So the three biggest drivers for us was relationships, was number one. The second biggest driver was delivery of getting the business and then executing it. So we got a lot of referrals as part of the delivery. And then the third biggest driver was hiring the right people who can not only bring in the sales, but hiring the right people in the back end who are delivering for the employees and the employees delivering for the organization. So these were the three biggest drivers.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about relationships and how it mattered in developing the two lines of your business?
So my personal experience, especially in San Antonio or Texas, has been that this is a very relationship-oriented city. People want to do business with people who are friendly, who do they know, and who can also deliver. So developing that relationship across San Antonio in the government world as well as in technology staffing has really helped us to have the doors open for us. And then after the doors are open, then comes the delivery, where when people saw, hey, this person or this company can not only come in and make the things right, but they can do it very effectively, that they have referred us to other businesses as well. So that's how relationships have helped us.
Okay. Now, is there a very large government presence in San Antonio?
What I understand is that the largest defense, it's actually the second largest defense money or federal money spent in the city after Washington, D.C. area. So there is a large presence of defense industry in San Antonio.
Yeah. It's a low profile, though, at least from here in Austin, it's low profile. What areas of defense spending are happening in San Antonio?
I think there are two big areas of defense in San Antonio. Cybersecurity definitely is huge in San Antonio. It is, again, the largest concentration of cybersecurity people in San Antonio after the Washington, D.C., Maryland area. And then the second big presence here is healthcare. So healthcare for the government, we have a lot of hospitals here for Army as well as the Air Force. Then there's a lot of presence of healthcare IT as well. So these are the two big areas in San Antonio in the defense market.
So healthcare must be a really huge chunk of the expenditure. I mean, off the top of my head, if I had to guess where the biggest expenditure was for the Department of Defense, I would have thought it'd be on the hardware side, but sounding like possibly healthcare for everyone in the military and veterans and active duty alike is really becoming a big piece of the budget now.
Right, and hardware also might be a huge expense because the government has to update its technology every few years. So hardware also might be there, but I do not have too much understanding of how much hardware upgrades happen in the government or in the defense world here.
Yeah, that's a totally different world there altogether. Can you talk a bit more about and this kind of relates to your second and third drivers on the delivery side of things? Like, how do you ensure that you are delivering on times to specifications, if not in excess of the specifications of the project?
So most of the delivery starts with basically the first step coming as is understanding the requirements. And we are big into spending proper time in making sure what is the requirement so that we don't go the wrong way after a few months not understanding the requirements to begin with. Then the second step in the delivery is having the quality of delivery. So we have recently invested in making sure we are following processes. So we have recently got an ISO 9001, 20001, 27001, and 14001 to make sure we are following those processes. We have gotten some certifications from Microsoft and Oracle, and we are moving towards CMMI level 3 implementation, which the goal is to get it by June or July of this year. And then we also have brought in some very good people to help us deliver quality. So we have brought in recently a CTO for our company from Medcom who really understands the healthcare IT market in San Antonio. Then we have brought in our director of program management who has been in the Air Force for a long time. And them really understanding Army and Air Force in a matter what they want and how to deliver those things. These things have really helped us out in terms of delivery.
Okay, so when you talk about quality when it comes to defense contracts, can you shed some light on that in case it's different from a private contract?
Yeah, the quality is different in a lot of ways because government is very set in their ways. And you have to really understand how to make a difference in terms of quality by not changing the scope of the work too much. So if the technologies are a little bit old and government is not ready to move to the new technology, some of the times the support of the product ends. So it becomes kind of educational to the government, hey, we really have to move to this new software or new product, but let us see how can we upgrade you to this new software or new product under the constraints of the government security requirements or the infrastructure the government has. So sometimes you have to be creative in doing that. So that's how we sometimes look at things.
What other differences do you see in regards to how the priorities for the government, right, the people who are evaluating the project, deciding which vendor gets the project, evaluating how well the project's going, how do their criteria for quality and success differ from the private sector?
I think there are 2-3 main areas over there that the government looks at. So sometimes the government projects are huge, government is very risk averse. So what they mainly see is if they're bringing in a new vendor, what they are trying to see is how much would this company be able to deliver? Okay, if we have to take a risk on this new vendor, what is the risk to the government? And they try to mitigate the risk by seeing if it's a small business, who's backing them up? Are they having some partnerships with the large organizations who can actually help them deliver? Or what is the past performance of this company in the contract area that the government has? So they will look at some of the past performances. Have this company delivered some of the similar contracts? And risk is one big thing in the government, so they want to make sure that all the risk is covered. Sometimes they want to see the product demo that you might be implementing. The commercial area might be a little bit different, where the commercial area, you have to go and convince the commercial manager, whoever that manager is, and say, hey, yes, we can deliver this. This is what our process would be like, and this is how I can deliver. In the commercial areas, they will call the referencer. The government area has to follow strict protocols of making sure that they are not preferring somebody over the other just because they like them, but also because they can do the work, because in government area there's so much protest, so the protocols and the rules and regulations are a lot more than in the commercial industry, and they have to follow those.
Right. Totally understand that. Now, how does a totally new vendor, a new startup business, win a government contract? Right. They don't really have a history of winning other government contracts. Like, for example, how did you win your first contract when you've never did any government work to start with?
Right. So this is a challenge for a lot of small businesses getting into the government, where the government says, hey, show us your past performance. And the companies, hey, we are new into the business. We don't really have past performance. So in my particular case, we had started in the commercial world before. So we had some past performance in the IT world to show to the government, hey, we have this past performance. Then we started writing the request for information, which in the government world, sometimes it's called sources sought. And when we said, this is how we will do this work, we started showing them the people who can do this work. We started bringing in companies who can support us and have some experience in that. And then we started also personally started meeting the government contracting officers and technology heads to show that, hey, we can do this work. So I personally was in technology and with all the partnerships, responding to proposals, showing them the people who can do this work, gave government some level of confidence. Yes, they can do it. So that's how we started getting some of those projects.
Right. Okay. Right. Now, why did you decide to focus more on the government side of your business as opposed to commercial? Was it just purely a revenue decision?
There were two factors in it. One factor was, for a long time, we were not able to scale up. So we always had the revenue between $2 million to $3 million. And one of the reasons was that we are focusing in user experience staffing across the country and not having local business and trying to do business remotely. It's a little bit hard to scale up. And staffing business is also 6 months, 1 year, 2 years at the most kind of a thing. Realizing that the government business is 3 to 5 years, the contracts are signed 3 to 5 years, and there's a big presence of Department of Defense in San Antonio, we said, hey, let's try ourselves out in that market. So those were, and when we did, we were able to scale up pretty quickly with the government. So that's how we decided to keep moving towards the government market.
Right, got it. Now, early on, you mentioned how referrals was a part of driving your business, part of the success factors, talking about delivering and meeting expectations or exceeding them and generating referrals. How does referrals work when it comes to government work?
So whenever you are applying or putting in an app, a proposal, or going and meeting the customer do want to see, hey, tell us who else you have done the work for, give us their names. And the government customer in particular wants to understand what kind of projects they have done. And if it's a big project, the government requires you to put in some kind of referrals that they can call and see what your work was like, what your delivery was like. Now, also in the business, even government, there are small business specialists. So the role of the small business specialist is to understand the capabilities of the companies trying to do business with the government, and they take those capabilities and pass them on to the contracting officers or the technology heads as and when the requirements come that, hey, go talk to this company or try this company. So that's more of a referral kind of business that happens in the Department of Defense or government market.
Okay. For your third driver, hiring the right people to bring in the sales, can you talk a little bit about that when it comes to government contracts? How does having the right people bring in the sales?
So basically what I have observed or seen is that all three different departments of defense have a different language. So Air Force have their own language, and Army have their own language, and Navy have their own language. And by language, I mean not English, but the way they communicate with each other. So what I saw was that if I hire somebody who understands the Air Force language, it's so easy for people to relate with each other, connect with each other, and understand the technology that is used, because Air Force, Army, and Navy, sometimes they use different kind of technologies. So bringing in people who really understand that particular environment from people and technology perspective help them connect easily with people on the other side of the table. And that reduces a lot of friction or risk or barriers people might have in their mind in terms of delivery or in terms of risk. So that really helps us get to the business quickly and deliver it quickly as well.
Right. Now, the sales process isn't something that you really have a lot of control over, though, right? I mean, the government has their timetable for a project and they kind of stick to it, right?
Correct.
Okay, so for the objective then of your sales team isn't so much to move a lead and prospect and turn them into a client, as quickly as possible, as much as it is to just keep the engagement going and making sure that you're top of mind and that you understand what the project and the people are looking for, so that you will be, among the top three when it comes to them evaluating the projects, right?
Correct.
Okay, got it. Now, in terms of finding contracts, now, are they open bidding, open submittal, or is it by invite only?
So they are both. Normally, it's open bidding. Most of the contracts are open bidding. And sometimes they will do the invite only. So for example, if they put in a request for information and let us say 5 or 6 companies responded to it, so they will send the proposal out to those 6 companies, but that happens very rarely. Most of the times it is open bidding.
Okay. And just, if someone came up to you and said, I want to win a defense contract, and I'm starting totally from scratch, right? And let's just say they don't have the commercial experiences you had, right? I mean, they have the expertise, they have the knowledge, and they want to do government work. Is that viable? Is that feasible? Would you just tell them to do some private sector work first, then approach the government, or can someone really get started from scratch with the government at the get-go?
So if they have some commercial experience to begin with, then the government would be a lot more open to hearing them and giving them the opportunity to work with them. However, if the person does not have any commercial experience, but if they were part of services for Army, Air Force, or Navy, and then they understand the environment, then also government is open to giving them some work. So if you do not have the DoD background, you do not have commercial services experience, then you have to go to the route where you partner with larger companies and use them as your back to try and open the doors or try and win contracts.
Harvinder,
Yes.
can you share with us what your 2019 plans are?
So the 2019 plans, we want to continue growing our commercial business as well as our Department of Defense business. The goal is to get to a little bit north of $20 million this year. And the way we want to do it is by bringing in the right people who have helped companies scale up in the past, who have been at the companies who have been doing business of $25 to $50 million. And that's one way of scaling up. Then we are also trying to strengthen our operations by bringing in the right operations people, by bringing in the right technologies to continue to scale up. So that's our 2019 plan.
Okay, and growth will be coming primarily from the government side?
Correct.
Okay, so you're looking to go from 16 million to 20 million by winning about 4 million more of government contracts?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, do you have visibility as to the likelihood? I assume you know the timetable, so you know when contracts are due to be decided and awarded in the upcoming year, right? That's how the process works?
Correct.
Okay. So to win $4 million of business, in your experience, what's the value of all the business you need to bid for to win $4 million of business?
Probably 40 million or more.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe even more, yeah.
Okay, so only winning 10% of the bids that's par for the course. That's the normal way of doing things when it comes to winning government work.
Correct.
Okay, now is your win rate? Do you know if that's considered normal? Is that industry average, above average, below average?
So this would be probably industry average, though I have heard of the companies who are able to get the win rate up to 40%. Now, we haven't built enough past performance in our business to get to that win rate. Plus, we are very hungry right now, so that's why we want to go after more bids as well.
Yeah, I guess if you only do the recompete type project, I guess your win rate would be much higher, right?
Right. Or if you play your cards right, you have the right partners, you understand the customer extremely well, you know their challenges, and the customer likes you, then the chances of winning also go up.
Yep. Now, how does marketing factor into winning new business for you?
So marketing in Department of Defense world is more about understanding what the government challenges are and having your people go and visit, understand those challenges, help the government understand this is how we can do the work, these are our partners, and then put all of that in the proposal so that when the technical evaluation team is looking at it, they feel comfortable with you and they say, yes, this company can do it. Or you can also do some product demos, or you can visit the customer and tell them this is how you are going to do it. That's more of a marketing that might succeed in the government organization compared to the traditional routes of marketing, which is now moving over to the digital world, or having booths in trade shows, or sending them information material. Those might have a little bit lesser effect than having those personal connections and showing your ability and skill set to get it done.
Right. Now, what do you think about using marketing to generate your brand, to build up top of mind presence so that they will think of you when it comes to reaching out to your firm to invite you to bid or let you know that there's a project that they would like you to bid on? It might be open bidding, but they'll reach out to you, say, I think you guys would be a good fit here. Maybe you'd like to take a look at bidding. what role does marketing play in regards to reaching out to all the Department of Defense people out there who you don't know currently? So you're not really able to speak with them and engage them, right? You want to use the marketing to build up interest so that they will engage you initially, so that you can start the relationship.
Right. So marketing in the government world, other than responding to RFIs, sources sought, visiting them, talking about their challenges, and those kinds of things is what I have understood might work. But I really have not been able to understand and leverage of any of the other channels available in marketing to be able to pass on our message to the government or make the doors open because of some other channels of marketing. I haven't really been able to understand or leverage any of those yet.
Right. Have you experimented with some marketing to engage your potential DoD contacts early before your sales team reaches out to them? Have you tried some of the different ways of outreach?
We have just those limited ways that I talked to you about, not a whole lot of new ways.
Okay. Like, I mean, have you tried any sort of digital marketing? Have you tried trade shows? Have you tried sending materials?
So sending materials, we do. Trade shows we are looking into, we haven't done it. Digital marketing, we have not done to the government yet.
Okay. So when you say you send materials, is that sending them cold to them, or is that only when they ask for it?
So it's sending them cold when they ask for it. It's sending them white papers, capabilities, cold, as well as when they ask for it, both.
Okay. Have you had some good response from the cold outreach when you send out materials to them?
Not really.
Okay. Any thoughts as to why they didn't respond?
I think the environment in the government is very conservative, where the inward communication is a lot more than outward communication. And what it means is, and the way the government functions is they don't want any company to be perceived that, hey, you are our favorite company by some other companies. So you can send the communication inward. And some of the government departments are liberating themselves out of this thinking and saying, no, we have to reach out to the vendor. We have to get their input. Let us open our challenges and books to them so that they can give an effective solution. But a lot of organizations within government are not there yet. So maybe that might be the reason as well, or maybe our material isn't effective enough, right? So any of those two things might happen.
Yeah, or maybe possibly you might not have been targeting the right people. Like, how did you know who to send the materials to, especially on the cold outreach side? I mean, when they ask for it, it's kind of obvious, but how about when you were contacting people who haven't heard of you yet? How did you get their names? How did you find out who they are? And how do you make a good guess that they might be a good fit?
Right. So that identification we get because of us being involved in organizations like AFCEA, where all the cybersecurity people come, and then there is an organization for healthcare IT, where those healthcare IT people come, or we go to all the various small business events that the DoD organizes. So that understanding we do get sometimes, or most of the times.
Right. Okay. Got that. Now, would you just brainstorming here? Do you have, when the DoD asks for people to submit proposals and do bids for projects, is the contact information, a person's contact information available to you for the past bids as well? Or could you go to the database and find people?
Yeah, so past bid incumbent or information is available through some paid softwares that you can go there and see who was the incumbent on the past bid. The government people who are involved in the evaluation criteria, that information is not available.
Okay. So, but there must be a point of contact, right? I would imagine for any bid, any proposal. Like, is that readily available?
Yeah, that is
Okay.
correct.
But you said you have to access it via a paid database to get that information?
So there's a paid database to get information on the past bid, like who was the incumbent, what was the contract value, and it has a little bit more information. You can also ask the government for that information. So the government provides some limited information that you can use, but there are some databases which have a lot more information about the past bids.
Right. So it sounds like that database that you just mentioned, the paid one, would be quite good for finding partners.
That can also be good for finding partners, yes.
Yeah, or becoming a subcontractor to the winners if they were, if it was a suitably large enough project.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Three last questions for you.
Yes,
say in San Antonio, say you're driving to Austin, right? And the freeways in between San Antonio and Austin can go to speed limit of 90 miles per hour. And say there's a billboard on the side of the freeway. Typically, billboards have a 6-second window to get their message across before people drive by. What would be your 6-second message for Bestica?
Interesting. The attention span these days is 9 seconds, but you're right. The billboard might be 6 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So there's a very interesting message that attorney in San Antonio has, and it says, "Ever argue with a woman?" And she's a family lawyer. She works on family divorce cases and those kinds of things. And she has them all over San Antonio, so the message really feels very effective to me.
Okay.
Our 6-second message, I will have to think about it, but maybe ever done business with Bestica? Try it and simplify your life, something like that. Try it and make your life easier, maybe something like that.
Right. Okay. And 2 last questions for you.
Yeah.
Who are your ideal partners, or even Department of Defense people who might come across this interview, who might be listening to it, and they're going, "Wow, this is pretty good. I'd like to contact Harvinder and his team." Who are those people, and what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
So I think the people, those are people who believe in long-term relationships, people who believe in trust, and people who can actually do what they say. So those are the people who probably from mid-sized companies or large-sized companies or even smaller companies, and people who have in-depth experience in the technology and the healthcare market. Those are the people who would be ideal partners for us.
And this would be for the commercial side of your business or the government side?
This is for the government side.
Okay, so you're interested in talking to commercial businesses wanting to do government work, or you're looking to talk more so on companies that are already focused on government work?
Companies that are already focused on government work.
Okay. Now I know you're looking to staff up as well. I mean, are there people who you like to reach out to who you might potentially want to hire that you'd welcome a conversation with them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're welcome to share those folks here if you like, and maybe they'll reach out to you.
So we are looking for some senior level people in the government world who have experience in developing business with the government, whether they are proposal writers, whether they are vice president in strategy and execution. Then we are also looking for some salespeople for our staffing division. So these are the kind of people we are looking for. And they can reach out to me by sending me their resume, and my email is harvinder@bestica.com.
Could you spell out Bestica? That's not, just to make sure people can type in your email address correctly.
Yeah, Bestica is BESTICA, bestica.com.
All right. What's the origin of your company name?
So back in 2005, we were trying to get a small domain name, and most of the domain names were taken. We were trying to get some adjectives that we want to do for our customer. One of the things we wanted to do was best, doing some best work for our customers. So there was a band called Metallica, which is my favorite band, and there was a company called Selectica. So I took the best work, the word best for the objective that we had in business, and then the ICA from the Metallica and the company Selectica, and combined these two words to make it simple and a small domain name. So just combining these two words is how we get to Bestica.
Right. Now, that's surprising. I would not have guessed that Metallica would be your favorite band.
Surprise, surprise.
Yes. All right, fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us today, Harvinder, and sharing how you accelerated your company's high-value sales.
My pleasure. Thank you for your time and asking all these tough questions. I think they will help me plan some strategy for myself as well in future.
All right. Well, whenever you want more tough questions, you know where to find me.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with Harvinder Singh, the president and CEO of Bestica, about his company's rapid growth. For interviews with other fast-growing, high-value sales companies, or to learn how we can accelerate your firm's high-value sales through automation, visit eversprint.com.